We are living in the time of masters, of creators. This is the Great Awakening. This is not some teachers teaching to the masses. This is the masses teaching to each other. We are all awakening to who we truly are. We are all teachers. We are all masters. We are all creators. So then the more of us that remember that and actually live true to that, the more people will remember that and live true to that. That's the awakening. That's the golden era that we're moving into. And so however that looks to you, like it can look like writing a book. It can look like teaching. It can look like, living boldly, living bravely, living courageously. It can look like creating products or services, building a business, whatever it looks like for you. That is what it is for you. And that will be the most relatable and inspiring thing for others. When you know who you are, when you own who you are, when you're unapologetic in your experience, in what you're interested in, then the people that resonate with that, they'll be attracted to that and they'll be interested in that. And you're not competing with anybody else. You don't need to compete with anyone because you're in a market of your own. You are your own niche. So that's why I often talk about there are no prescriptions or strategies or methods that you need to adopt, right? You just need to double down on who you are. If you're interested in joining a masterclass on this topic of storytelling, of branding, of bringing your creative, authentic expression to the world and getting paid to exist by doing so, living true to who you really are and being of service in the way that feels fun and exciting, like an adventure of life, which is exactly the experience I've had in the last year and a half of starting this YouTube channel, then I invite you to comment manifest down below and I'll send you more information about an upcoming workshop, a masterclass on this topic in particular. Comment manifest down below. I'll send you more information. And in this era, it's all about you as the creator of your reality, as the storyteller of your life. So you craft and create and live the story of your life, but also the nature of teaching. And that's the thing about stories. Stories are the greatest teachers, right? Someone can tell us the answer. Someone can give us, the insight. Someone can give us a concept or whatever it is, a perfect teaching. But sometimes it just doesn't like hit home. You just don't feel it. It makes sense to the mind, but on a deeper level, it doesn't always land. But with a story, it touches something deeper, right? So stories are the greatest teachers because they're not even really trying to teach. They're just relatable. They're just a tangible experience. They're a feeling. They evoke and inspire a feeling. That's why we love stories. That's why we love movies, because we relate not only to the hero, but to the characters along the way, because it is that arc of transformation. It is that arc of discovering who you are. So with this story, I believe with this era that we're moving into, that we are in now, is that the modern teaching, the modern kind of teaching is actually to write the story of your life that is the most inspiring for you, that is truest to you, that is the most alive and invigorating for you, and to live that story. Because when you live that story and share that story, everyone else around you actually sees the possibility beyond just a story, beyond an idea, right? Beyond something that's on a page. They see it being lived. So the possibility of this era, and it's not for no reason that we have the internet and all these amazing technologies and everything. Everything is converging at the perfect time in the perfect way for you to live your greatest life. And it's not only for you. That's the point, right? You get to live the greatest life that you can imagine, but also others get to benefit from witnessing you living the greatest life that you can imagine. And that's the greatest teaching that you can offer. If you're even interested in teaching, and I'm sure that you are in some way or another, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Maybe not, maybe that word is not the right word that you resonate with. Maybe it's, maybe you're more artistically oriented. Maybe you want to, inspire, right? Maybe you're more of a visionary, whatever the term is, but in a way, it's all kind of a teaching. It's all a remembering. It's all a pointer. I've talked about this from my own experience, and perhaps you've sort of witnessed it or seen it from the things that I'm doing and sharing. But this is really the way that I'm looking at all this. I can write books and I can do discourses and I can sit up here, and preach. But I recognize that that's not so interesting. It's not so interesting anymore, right? So then where am I holding myself back? Like, where am I inspired? Where am I excited? Where am I activated? What are my desires? And those desires are not for no reason either, right? Because they're literally from my soul. They're from my higher self. They're from God. And they're inviting me into more of who I truly am. And in that process of becoming, there's so much that happens. So much insight, so much revelation, so much realization, so much transformation, which is emanated through my presence, through my being, through my actions, through my behaviors, all of which rubs off on everyone that I encounter. That's the essence of what they're receiving from each and every one of us, right? We use words, we describe things, we do all these things, right? But beneath that is a vibrational radiance, right? It's a transmission of who we are, of who we've become, right? And so then the more you're willing to step out of the old familiar world and into the unknown, cross that threshold of believability, of predictability, of certainty, the more you yourself are willing to move into that resistance, to move into your true self, the more others will tangibly recognize that, not by your words, not by what you have to say, not only by that, not only by what you're teaching, by what you're being, by what you have become. Like, that's the most inspiring thing for people. That's the most liberating thing for others. This is why that story of Roger Bannister, for example, all those years ago when he broke the 4 minute mile, it's like for years and years and years, no one could break the 4 minute mile. No one could run a mile in less than 4 minutes. He believed he could, he did. And then almost all of a sudden, everyone was doing it. If he went around saying, like, no, it is possible, everyone can do it, you can do it, trust yourself, believe yourself, I wonder if anyone would have actually done it. But they saw him do it. They saw that it was possible. All of a sudden, everyone can do it. It's such a powerful story because we tangibly get to see what's possible through another person's courage and willingness to become that possibility. So this is the way I'm looking at this era. We are living in the time of masters, of creators. This is the Great Awakening. This is not some teachers teaching to the masses. This is the masses teaching to each other. We are all awakening to who we truly are. We are all teachers. We are all masters. We are all creators. So then the more of us that remember that and actually live true to that, the more people will remember that and live true to that. That's the awakening. That's the golden era that we're moving into. And so however that looks to you, like, it can look like writing a book. It can look like teaching. It can look like, living boldly, living bravely, living courageously. It can look like creating products or services, building a business. Whatever it looks like for you, that is what it is for you. And that will be the most relatable and inspiring thing for others. Maybe you've heard this idea because it's kind of floating around that, like, attention spans are lessening. Like, we have like shorter attention spans right now because of all this devices and endless connectivity and possibilities to consume content and all this stuff, right? But I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe that our attention spans are shortening. I believe that our interest spans are shortening. There's so much more that we can watch and read and learn from, so many more people that we can connect to, that we are less and less tolerant to something that's not interesting, right? So whereas years ago we would have been willing to sit through advertisements for 10 minutes in between, our favorite show, now we just skip to a different device or we skip to a different channel because our interest is so keen. We're so aware of who we are. We're so aware of what we're interested in that now it's becoming about interest. This is, again, building off of last week of authenticity, right? When you know who you are, when you own who you are, when you're unapologetic in your experience, in what you're interested in, then the people that resonate with that, they'll be attracted to that and they'll be interested in that. And you're not competing with anybody else. You don't need to compete with anyone because you're in a market of your own. You are your own niche. So that's why I often talk about there are no prescriptions or strategies or methods that you need to adopt, right? You just need to double down on who you are because that, as a vibrational attractive mechanism, brings everyone to you. And then based on what you've become, based on what you're stepping into, based on how true you are living to yourself and to what you desire, to what you're excited to birth through your being, then certain people will become more and more resonant and more attracted to staying on the channel of you, basically. That's the power of this brand, as I kind of frame it, right? It's the power of trust, it's the power of resonance, it's the power of authenticity. What we have been taught and told, what we think is needed to be successful, be fulfilled, do what we love, do it in the way we want to do it. It's not actually really needed. What's really needed is for you to double down on who you know yourself to be, live true to that, and be unapologetically in expressing that. That's the mechanism. That's the beautiful, intelligent, intuitive mechanism. So that's storytelling. That is storytelling. And that's, in a way, the kind of personal brand, you could say. That's like the greatest story that we have access to. When you really resonate with a frequency, when you're really inspired by a possibility, right? So that's the kind of era that we're living in now as well, right? So some people are binge watching Netflix all night, and some people are going on YouTube to find someone or something that has done what they want to do, has lived what they're inspired to create or become, right? And through that permission slip, they have evidence to suggest that it's also possible. It's possible for me. So that's often a part of this resistance, right? Is that we're holding ourselves back from really getting started, from really creating what we want because we're looking for evidence. And that's a natural thing to do, right? We're looking for permission to do it, looking for a reason to believe that it's possible. Now more than ever, there are endless permission slips if you're willing to look for them. And there's nothing wrong with this. It's actually a beautiful thing. It's partly why I'm sure you were drawn to my videos or whoever else you're watching or learning from, whatever books you're reading, right? They're all permission slips. You are already everything that you need. You already have everything that you need. But these permission slips are little reminders, little gentle nudges, just like Roger Bannister. Oh, it is possible to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. Now I believe it. Not because he's special, not because of that, whatever, but because I have remembered that it's possible. I feel it, right? And that's what the brand is. That's what the story is. That's what this permission slip really is. It's the activation of that feeling within you, which is that belief, self-belief. It's a feeling. It's like, oh, I can do it. I can do it. I will do it. I'm going to do it. If you're resonating with this message and you want to explore this topic more deeply in a masterclass environment with me and a group of other creators, then in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be opening up a unique masterclass on this topic specifically. I'm calling it Get Paid to Exist, which is taking my experience over the last year and a half on YouTube and building my own personal brand, telling the story of my life, crafting a body of work that countless people, over 45,000 people now, in that short period of time have resonated with. And I've worked with hundreds of individuals from all over the world. And this translates into your own unique experience, your own unique creative expression, your own unique calling. So I want to help you bring that to the world in this very unique, aligned approach. So if you're interested in that, comment manifest down below and I'll send you more information about this. It's going to be starting in the next couple of weeks. There are going to be a limited number of spots because I want to make this an engaged workshop style masterclass where you can get a lot of value out of this. So if you're interested in joining this, comment manifest down below. I'll send you more information about it.